This is your PSA that just because you're on vacation doesn't mean you get to stop being aware of your surroundings.
Europeans are not more advanced than us. There's no AC anywhere. They refuse to accept global warming exists. I'm currently in Berlin.
Another day, another wave of Americans getting absolutely mind blown over different culture shocks all over Europe. Obviously, it varies. I find new things all the time. And so these ones are going to be some things we haven't really covered as much. And I thought would be pretty interesting. If you guys are new to the channel, welcome. If you guys are returning viewers, welcome back. Please support the channel by liking this video and subscribing if you haven't already. What are some things that you guys have noticed that a lot of us Americans always find either shocking, mesmerizing, or simply things we just don't adjust to right away when we travel to your country within Europe?
This is your PSA that just because you're on vacation doesn't mean you get to stop being aware of your surroundings. I was just walking down the street and a man right in front of us whipped out a machete, starts swinging it. And I will tell you, good on Barcelona, because the police were there like that. They were here so fast, chased the man down. But wow, that was crazy.
This is also very, very, very huge. So when traveling in general, a lot of times people turn off their awareness brain and they're like, you know what? I'm safe. I'm comfortable. A lot of us Americans are guilty of doing that, man. We're used to the United States where anything and everything can happen at any moment. And when we travel and we're on vacation, we just turn off our awareness settings a lot of the time. And that's not good. Just because you're in an area that might not notoriously be as dangerous as the United States as a whole does not mean that nothing can happen. You still have to be aware of your surroundings and pay attention to the things around you. I have caught myself in a few situations where I got a little too comfortable and there were some things that did wind up happening around me that I was like, wait a minute, what the heck? Now, I do talk about what I'm about to tell you guys next quite a bit because it was funny and it was something that highlighted me not paying attention. I was walking to the Hamburg Hauptbahnhof while I was there and I was not paying attention. I was like deep into my phone scrolling to look at locations as far as where I wanted to go for the day. And a homeless individual walked up behind me and started barking in my ear and I freaked out. I screamed a little bit. I'm not gonna lie. You know, because it caught me off guard. I wasn't expecting that. Very crucial and critical to pay attention to your surroundings. Also, it's pretty interesting as well because I don't think you would be seeing somebody waving a machete around in the United States. I mean, maybe depending on where you're at, but normally it'd be a gun of some sort or some other stuff. The most surprising part of this is that the police were actually there, to be honest. That's why I asked what I asked, because depending on where you're located, the police could be either very responsive or not responsive at all. And I think that's a unanimous thing globally, no matter where you're at. You can call the police and it might take them 5 minutes. It might take them 3 hours. It depends. They might not even show up at all. They're like, yeah, we're on our way. And then boom, they don't show up. So how responsive are police when they are called upon where you are at? Let me know in the comments. Yeah, obviously when on vacation, you should be even more aware of your surroundings. One should always be aware of surroundings, especially in the USA. Absolutely. If you travel to the USA, no matter how cool of a good time or how fun of a great time you're having, you should be aware of your surroundings at all times because anything can happen at any time. This also applies to the Americans traveling all over the world, no matter where you are at. You have to pay attention because, again, you leave yourself open to a lot of things if you're not paying attention.
Are you sure this is safe to drink?
You're not from here.
What do you mean?
We don't walk around with coffee.
Why is this coming off? Something broken with it? Where's the AC?
AC?
Yeah, you can't turn that off.
No, we just keep the doors open and the fans on.
Bernie, y'all right on the
Are you
family.
serious?
Oh
What are you doing?
Oh my goodness, SPF 50.
Hey, that water comment was so real
Are you sure this is safe?
because I'd be asking the same question. Is the water safe to drink? Of course it's safe to drink, but I didn't know that for a while. You guys were telling me, hey, listen, it's not the American tap water. You're good. You can drink the water here. You're fine. Nothing weird's going to happen to you. You're not going to grow a third eye on your backside if you drink out of the water fountains here. So That's pretty interesting. Obviously, the bottle cap thing we've gone over 1,000,005 times, and I promise you it will continue blowing American minds into oblivion. Something that simple, something that nuanced is obviously enough to push us over the edge. I myself got stuck with that as well. I was like, whoa, why is the bottle cap not coming off? I have to rip the cap off now? What the heck's going on? I thought it was a malfunction until I realized all the bottles had those types of bottle caps when I was in Germany specifically. So I was like, that's crazy. But I guess when it was explained to me what the purpose of that was for, made a lot of sense. As far as the SPF, do you guys apply sunscreen to your bodies and stuff, you know, in the summertime? I would think so, but is there something else you guys use, like a cream or something or whatever? Like, how do you protect yourself from the sun? Oh no, I need my AC and sunblock. LOL. Seriously, do you guys not put on sunblock? That's kind of crazy. Like, I did not know that. If you guys don't put on sunblock, that's how are you protecting yourself against the sun? Is there a sacred spell y'all have out there or something? Like, is there something I'm not tracking? Treats Romani as a fellow human being. Clearly you're American. Ah, I see. Some hostility in the area over there, I guess. How are people? What is the day-to-day interaction with random people? You're walking down the street and stuff. Do you guys say good morning, good afternoon? The not walking with coffee is a skill issue. I don't think I can recall a time where I've walked around with coffee at all outside. Not that I wouldn't, right? I prefer to drink my coffee sitting down. Gotta say, the water bottle caps did get me, LOL. And they got me too. You are not alone, friend. I promise you, I was also caught off guard.
I'm gonna be a fucking bitch right now. I'm so sorry. I was crying. There's nothing more annoying as an American being abroad when you are like talking to people just like anywhere. I'm saying Europe right now because I'm in Europe. I'm in Germany. When you talk to someone and the person that you're talking to like literally fucking hates everything about America, and then they're like wearing a fucking like the slang is all American. They're drinking Starbucks. They're wearing Nike shoes. And then they're like wearing like Tommy Hill. I don't even fucking know, like fucking Ralph Lauren. Like it's just like the most annoying shit.
So as you could imagine, the comment section was obviously, it was very interesting. Now I have seen a lot of Americans like this. They'll travel abroad, specifically through Europe. And of course, a lot of the interactions are like, dang, y'all aware of what's going on in the United States? It's not looking too hot over there. Like a lot of Americans are getting backlash for what's happening in the USA right now. And I understand why. I mean, right now, it is not a great time to be repping the USA. So a lot of people are like, I'm Canadian. Of course, we have this image right here. You know, I'm pretty sure this is from Mean Girls. A lot of times we let our egos get the best of us and we're like, well, I don't understand how Europeans can hate Americans when we created the European style altogether. You wouldn't be you without us. And I'm like, oh my gosh. Yep. I understand completely being disappointed with the current day USA. I am too, but let's not hate on all the culture, food, music, etc. that comes from the States. Now, admittedly, while a lot of people are like, oh, the United States doesn't have any culture at all, I feel like ours is more of a fusion of a lot of things, right? We take a lot of cultures from all over the world, blend it into our own and make it what it is. For instance, right, if we're just using food as an example, I recently made a whole video about an American that was talking about an Italian pizza, the pizza that came from Italy, that, yeah, this is not pizza. This is not real pizza. Obviously, the Italians made the pizza concept first. America took it and turned it into its own thing. I'm traveling and was told Americans don't travel. This was said to me while I was 7,000 miles away from the US. This commenter missed the point entirely. Yes, she was told that Americans don't travel because a large amount of Americans do not travel, which is why we have these videos in the first place. They don't get out. They don't see the world. Now, the fact that this commenter traveled is amazing. Congratulations. We the mighty few. Now, there's a bunch of Americans that do travel, obviously, but not a lot of them, not a metric fuck ton. Of course, it just depends. I do think that the more Americans that do travel, I do feel like recently Americans have been traveling like crazy, considering the situation that we're currently in right now. But usually the stereotype is Americans do not travel because a lot of Americans don't travel and it shows. Literally, like, please stop asking me about the orange man. I'm on vacation. Yikes. Really bad take because this is literally what happened to that American lady that was in Ireland when she was asked who she voted for. And she's like, I don't want to talk about it. Whether you like it or not, the actions of the country you reside in affect the entire world. So of course people are going to ask you about that, especially if you are visiting their country. That makes sense. But again, a lot of Americans are oblivious to that. Because like, you know what? I'm going to just like turn my brain off and I'm going to just enjoy life and people should just leave me the fuck alone. As an American also living in Germany, I've had the opposite experience. Everyone I talk to loves America. It's interesting because I think that the way the world views America is very, to me, it's unique, right? Because obviously we have the wild diabolical stuff that we're doing currently, but we also have had the things that America was known for in the past, right? And where people desire to travel, at least to see and explore the United States. And I do think that there are a large portion of people still out there that are like, okay, well, once America can calm down and get itself together, we would like to go explore. Now, again, situation currently is very diabolical, but when things die down, would you guys be interested in visiting?
Americans order food feels so rude. I'm an American living in London and I've been there for about 3 years and I'm back in the US for this weekend. And I was sitting in a coffee shop this morning and I was just listening to all the people order and they kept going, oh, I'll do the cappuccino or let me have the, or I'll have the, like, there's no question involved. And I used to hear Europeans say like, oh, Americans are so rude when they order and be like, well, that's just our culture. And now when I hear it, it's actually so jarring to hear. Like, there's no question, there's no please, no thank you. Like, it's just like, oh, I'll have a latte. I'll do the hamburger. I kind of understand the sentiment now. Like, it sounds really rude. I know that Americans are so used to it and service workers are used to it, but like, every time I go out to eat now that I live in the UK, I have to ask like, oh, can I please have the, and now when I hear Americans say it, I find it so jarring.
All right, that's ridiculous. That is ridiculous. And I'm saying that because when I traveled to Germany, I'm going to reference Germany quite a bit because that was the primary place I was in when I traveled to Europe. That's literally how you ask for food when you get anything, pointing out what you want. They ask you like, hey, how can I help you? What would you like? And you're like, I'll have the da 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 da. Now you can ask and be like, can I please have the whatever? But people are pretty direct. They're like, hey, I'll have this, this, and this. And it's not rude. It just shortens the process. It's like, can I please have this? Yes, you can have that. Just tell them what you want. So we're both rude and too friendly. Got it. I have heard the too friendly thing. I have heard the rude thing, but on a different sense, if that makes sense. I've heard that we're rude in the sense we're very entitled and we're demanding in other ways. And it's hard to put in words. Maybe you guys have a more direct example or experience you can give that will kind of reinforce what I just said.
My friend said that I'm too American for England because, you know, somebody came and farted in the elevator. It was packed as fucking there. And it was lethal. Bro, it was fucking lethal. It smelled like ass. Ass. Like ass and shit. And everybody in the elevator was like, oh my God, this just really smells like how awful. And I'm just like, who the fuck farted? You fucking kidding me? Somebody farted in the elevator? You couldn't fart outside? Are you serious? I said it just like that. Now, there were people laughing, but there was also people in there that was like, oh my God, what the fuck? Like, no, English people don't fucking talk like that, but you know what I mean. And then my English friend was like, you know, we don't say that. You can't say that. It was really loud. You can't say that. We also don't really say farting. I'm like, so what the fuck do you say? She's like, pass wind. Pass fucking wind. Nah, that motherfucker farted. He fucking farted. And he deserved to know.
That is so real. That is so real. Listen, I'm glad she called that man out because that's diabolical, man. Some people got like zero care in the world for the people that are standing around them in close quarters. You're going to pass wind in close quarters.
Who the fuck farted?
Oh my gosh. Yeah, and obviously how people handle situations like that is insane. Like I do remember in a situation like that, right? Again, I only have my experiences primarily from Germany to relate to this. I was on the train in Hamburg and we were all crowded in this big ass train car. I'm by the door and somebody farted. All you hear is, oh man, you know, from everybody, like, oh man, you know, and I'm like, oh my gosh. I'll be like, you'll hear other words and stuff like that too. They'll be like, oh, Digga, you know, da. Crazy. And then like, Alter, was ist los mit dir? You hear like, oh, Bruder, was machst du da? Like, you know, crazy stuff or whatever. And I thought it was hilarious. Also, incredibly stinky. Like, what are you doing? Who the fuck got it. Yeah, I like the fact that she was like, what? We're just not going to say anything about this? Which is crazy. Again, a lot of times you hear stereotypes like, oh, like, you know, the European brutal honesty, blah, blah, blah. Americans got it too. It depends on where that American came from. If they came from the eastern side of the United States, they're going to be pretty fucking direct. If they came from the western part of the United States, they'll beat around the bush until, you know, you hit the end of your life cycle. So I'm the only one who hears a Boston accent.
Who the fuck farted?
Listen, to me, it was either between Boston, New Jersey, or New York. To me, they all sound the same. The strong East Coast accent. That's what I was like, oh my gosh. Funny as hell though. I feel like you thrive in the North, especially Liverpool. Listen. Let me tell you guys something. Americans are a different breed, but specifically the Americans from the Northeast, which conveniently is where tons of Europeans migrated when they migrated to the United States, the northeast part of the United States. Those Americans can handle Europe no problem. Like, no problem for the most part. Like, they're very direct. They come off as real rude, and they will tell it to you like it is. Passing wind should only be reserved for farts that are loud but don't stink. The way she said it, no, he fucking farted. It's diabolical.
Living in Albania, cash is king, and you actually pay your utilities in person in cash. And my landlord just went on a girls' trip and forgot to do it before she left, so the internet just turned off this morning, and she's like, oh, go in person and pay it. So we are going right now, taking our cash to go pay our internet bill. And we walk everywhere, so it's about a 20-minute walk to go pay the internet bill right now. You can take a taxi, but I think it was only 5 minutes quicker. The roads here are really not car friendly, and it's really slow, and there's usually traffic. So honestly, it's just quicker to walk everywhere.
A few things to note. Even though cash is needed for pretty much everything here, it's actually quite expensive to get cash. In Tirana, I've noticed that the typical fee is around $8 to $10 just to withdraw money. So it's best to pull out a lot of money all at once. I have heard of other expats wiring themselves money, but the one time I did try that, I was charged $30. And this isn't even counting if your bank does international transaction fees. However, a lot of things are a little more affordable. 1700 lek is about 20 USD, and that's about how much I paid for my internet. Every place has the good and bad.
Yikes. That is insane. I mean, paying in cash does seem mildly inconvenient, but it gets you out there and gets you walking. So that's actually pretty cool. But throughout Europe in general, people seem to be walking and biking and, you know, moving their bodies a lot anyways. But what do you guys think? How do you feel about paying in cash versus paying digitally? Is it more convenient, less convenient for you guys? I would obviously think paying digitally would be more convenient. Gotta get skinny. I just hate walking in heat. Doing all of this during the summertime has got to be wicked work. Oh my gosh. I mean, as long as you got a bottle of water, maybe a portable fan of some sort, you should be fine. You should be fine. Or at least stick to the shaded areas when you're walking and whatnot, and you should be, for the most part, pretty good. But what do you guys think about all that? I do think the cash-based societies and stuff like that, they are dwindling ever so rapidly, but they still exist. Also, when she talked about the ATMs and the ATM fees, that is something to look out for. I was prepared for it, and the bank that I bank with actually reimburses me for all of the bank fees I pay at the end of every month. I'm not sure if everybody else's bank works like that, but at least mine returns any ATM fee I had to pay, and it's pretty convenient. But sometimes those fees can get pretty intense.
Bruh. Here's some propaganda I'm not falling for about Europe as an American who's currently in Europe. Europeans are not more advanced than us. There's no AC anywhere. They refuse to accept global warming exists. I'm currently in Berlin, and I landed at the airport, and it was 80 degrees in the airport.
First, this is the control panel for my air-conditioned office here in Germany. But second, just because you don't see something everywhere doesn't mean that it doesn't exist. And if you ever had to pay an electric bill in Germany, you would know that air conditioning is not preferred here. It is electricity heavy, and it is extraordinarily expensive to run. Most places prefer to just open the windows and let the fresh air come in. And Germany is extraordinarily green. If you drove anywhere in the countryside, you would see a shitload of wind turbines. Now, I'm not going to show any more of the rest of your video, but I'm going to hit the points that you made. You said that nobody wears deodorant here in Europe. Yes, they do. And you complained about people having funk and BO. Have you been on the subway in New York City? Ridden the bus in Portland, Oregon, or Seattle, or Dallas, or anywhere? These motherfuckers are just raw dog without DO. Everywhere on earth. So there's going to be some funky motherfuckers walking around, but funky by your standards. Then you complained about having to pay for using the toilet. Anybody that's been following me for any period of time knows that I've covered this topic in depth a lot. Anybody who's done any kind of basic research before going on a trip to Europe knows that in most places you have to pay €1 generally to use a public toilet. I don't complain about it because I'm accustomed to it. But folks from the US are just going to be who the fuck they are and whine about it. Please don't come on here, posting a video that's full of just whiny complaints and misinformation because it just doesn't look good. Just do some basic research.
You guys hear me say it all the time. Do your fucking research, okay? Your life will be way easier if you do your research. But people are allergic to that, apparently. They don't like doing research. They'll travel abroad and complain about all the things that are not what they should be in their eyes, right? And it's diabolical. It is actually diabolical. Now, obviously, keeping all of that in mind, when I traveled initially, I almost did that. I did make some big mistakes initially when I traveled, and I adjusted. I made sure I did further research into other places I was traveling to, so I made my experience easier, and I even did some research into the place that I currently reside in now, so I can make sure my experience is flawless. Again, I do feel like that's just a huge thing these days. People don't do research on anything. I mean, people operate off of convenience. If the information is not hand delivered to them or presented on a silver platter, they're not going to seek the information themselves, and they default to thinking that the entire world functions as the society that they grew up in. Saying that Europeans don't believe in global warming because they don't want to use excessive amounts of electricity using AC is laughable. Don't waste the Earth's valuable resources. Amen. Couldn't have said it better myself. Now, I love AC and I understand it tears up the environment, but I also like the convenience of feeling cool. Most of Europe is very aware of global warming, which is why we dry our clothes outside. I wish the United States was that way because it is not. It is not. We like to say it, beat on our chests, and brag to the world that we are very green and environmentally friendly and da-da-da. We are not. I find it funny that paying €1 for a toilet is outrageous, but tipping 20% or more is expected. Don't eat out if you can't afford the tip is what I hear from them. Should we start copying that energy with public bathrooms? Hey, that's a nice clap back. Don't use the bathroom if you can't afford it then. How about that? Very crazy, and very logical explanation, because how are we comfortable tipping 20% of a restaurant bill and then bitch about a fucking €1 fee for the bathroom? That doesn't make any sense. Same in Scotland. We just open the window and pray for a wee breeze. AC is far too expensive. Now, admittedly, places that do not have AC, you can correct me if I'm wrong. Even if you do open that window during them hot ass, sweaty ass days in the summertime, you do suffer a little bit, don't you? It gets a little hot, but I understand why people don't have AC. I completely understand it. I'm just poking fun.